But I would say that just let's focus on that for a second. It's basically an adaptive learning technology that we're using, which can learn extremely fast based on the customer environment. Of course, solely for them. We never take the data. We don't create models out of that, not for us and not for other customers. It's solely for the purpose of the specific customer of ours. So it's very fast. It can take hours to a day or two. Get the full business context. It's updated automatically. So it's adaptive to the changing landscape of customers, employees, groups, tags, whatever you have in the organization it provides the right context for the use of our solution there. So adaptive, fast learning, customer specific learning. So it has the business context of the customer. And that was our approach that makes our solution significantly more accurate on one hand, false positive wise, significantly less because it's all contextual, but at least as important, and I know a lot of organizations did not get to that, is that a lot of people are thinking about the false alarms, the biggest issue in data security, which true, it's a big issue, and we're doing significantly better job due to the context in showcasing or escalating only in the right, let's say, alerts. But I think there's probably at least equal sized issue, if not bigger, which is the false negatives. Organizations, I think, is 80-90% of the data security incidents completely because because the solution today you cannot even express the type of things you need to protect against with those solutions. Not talking about whether they are accurate or not, just impossible. Again, think about customer trust. Let's say you're a healthcare provider and you want to make sure in the way that, because you have a lot of PHI, a lot of interaction with your patient members, let's say, you want to make sure that whatever you communicate with them is solely their data, no one else, not because of some training of a model, not copy and paste, not hallucination, etc. How do you make sure? How do you even express yourself in a traditional or modern DLP and saying something like, make sure that if I'm sending information to this patient that does not contain information of another patient? Who know that? We do because of our technology. So the point is that we reduce a lot of false positives. We reduce significantly false negatives as well, right? The blind spots that every organization has in many of the data flows that they have.
It's interesting what you said. Probably 80 to 90% of the data issues or the data leaks, companies don't even know are taking place. Do you think
they cannot even detect them? That's my point. It's not
right.
Try to.
They don't even have the capability.
To the extent it's impossible to detect them.
Right. Do you think that if, let's assume, right, organizations are now able to detect 100% of it, do you think that their breach disclosures would increase significantly?
It's a great question. Sure, if they have more breaches, they need to disclose them. But remember that part of what a solution like ours can do is to make them avoid a breach, right? Our solutions are not designed for detection only, though detection is a great starting point because it provides visibility that can result in better controls, better training, and a lot of avoidance of at least non-malicious acts at the minimum, right? So that's one. But a solution like ours, actually, you can use them for prevention or remediation. So you can actually avoid breaches altogether. So think about, again, the example I mentioned earlier, but let's now take a mail example, right? Let's say use some Gemini, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot to help you write the email. Mistakenly or not, it contains sensitive data you should not have sent to whoever the receiver is. We can actually detect it real time, block it along the way, walk in detection mode as well. So we can actually support both detection, detect and respond type of apparatus, but also active prevention for serious, let's say, high-risk situations. So the point is that risk can be mitigated. It's not just detected, but actually can be mitigated in multiple ways, both by using the right detection, visibility, which again result in secondary control, secondary action items like training, tighter access, and other stuff, and actually being in line or have a real-time remediation for actual prevention of risk as well.
Yeah, this is a whole world that I feel like people try to avoid, honestly. All right, is that something that you see as well?
Yeah, less and less. I think that organizations I know I'm saying something which is probably not going to be too politically correct, but got comfortable in the lack of abilities of the data security tools because it is what it is, right? For compliance, we buy a tool, maybe we turn on some basic function. That's what you can do with it, and that's it. It's almost fine, that's what's available for us. We cannot do much more than that. But I think that's changing. I think what we are seeing, and we're seeing a lot of interest in what we do because of AI, not because it's only problems that they are resulting from AI adoption, but I think a lot of organizations feel very uncomfortable, or security professionals very uncomfortable in their seats with their lack of visibility, not talking about controls of their information flows or information systems. As an industry, right, the industry got used to protect the plumbing, not what goes through the pipes. And with the adoption of AI, everyone understands now, or they need to do at a minimum, they understand visibility wise what's happening there so they can actually have a strategy of how to mitigate the risk. Now, we're seeing some organizations start implementing DSPMs, right, as a way to feel better. Now let's discover all of our 100 terabytes and classify them. But as I said earlier, it's fine. There's usefulness, right, in getting high level visibility that now as a bank, you have 100 terabyte of banking information. Good job. But what do you do then? How do you mitigate the risk of the bank or the healthcare provider or technology company or IP leakage? Can't, right? So I think that the awareness is growing very, very quickly, both for the old, let's call it old pre-Gen AI type of use cases, because people understand, yeah, maybe it's about time to do something about it because solutions like ours, and I'm sure there will be other startups as well, make it possible to solve some of those issues whenever solved properly. But definitely when you're looking on the AI use, regardless if it's a sanctioned application, like let's use Microsoft 365 Copilot, but make sure that we have some decent protection upstream and downstream where there is none. Okay. And when organizations are looking purview, sorry, they look at it and like you did in your story, and it's okay, great. Maybe someone else can do the job. So that's that. There's the unsanctioned applications, right? So basically shadow AI. Someone needs to inspect that as well, right? Those information flows that potentially can lead to unsanctioned use of AI, right? Shadow AI, and also the custom applications. So there are so many moving parts that I think security professionals and organizations as a whole understand they just need to take the data security significantly more seriously. And the good news, there are now good solutions that can actually address it in very different concepts. If you try to do the same thing that the industry have done over the last 20 years, it will lead to the same results, even if you're using some smarter LLM along the way to classify. It's just not good enough.
So for your solution, you said that it's learning the context of the business within the industry that they're in.
Yeah.
How long does that take?
It takes hours to a day, 2 days, and of course, continuous learning, etc. But you can have a great use of our product. It's designed for that. It's not a coincidence. You can imagine how to bring visibility and provide useful visibility and start tracking information, understanding what's there and what kind of phrase can potentially turning on some prevention can make it valuable for you in a couple of days.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. And then just over time, it becomes more and more accurate and more, I guess, in tune with your business, right?
But the accuracy is very high from the first moment you use it because we're using for grounding our entity awareness, the business context. We're using the customers' corporate data for their benefit. So we're not guessing. So for example, let's say we want to understand if you mix as a bank between one customer data to another, we know the customer base, right? That's how the system works. So we can identify it. And it's not kind of like something that in the first week will be 70% correct, maybe in 2 months, 85%. As long as we have the data and we digest the contextual data, it can be extremely accurate from almost day one.
So how do you ensure that you're getting all of the data? Because you also mentioned previously, there's all these different, I just view them as like different, I don't know, use cases or people or entities within the environment. Someone's using Copilot, someone's using ChatGPT, another person's using SharePoint to pull data from and to and whatnot. There's so many different like data origination points. How do you ensure that you have